Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm doing a really exciting video. It is a collaboration with one of my really great friends, Tara Brooke. I'm sure you guys know who she is, and seriously, if you haven't subscribed to her after me talking about her so many times, what are you doing? Please go in the description box, find her channel and subscribe and watch her video because she's just one of my favorite YouTubers and just a really good friend of mine. She makes content that I feel like is actually enjoyable to watch because she talks about makeup and just like cuts the crap. Like, I don't have to sit there and listen to her ramble for half an hour about just random things. She really has concise thoughts, but still isn't just quick and through everything. I don't know how to describe it, but like if she's going to talk about a product, she's going to talk about it while still letting her personality shine through. And I feel like you really get to know her through her videos, and she has a really great makeup taste. We have a lot of the same style of makeup, but she does have a more curated collection than me. I don't know, you should just definitely go check her out if you like my content. She does a lot of the same ones, the Shop My Stash. Just, I don't even know what to say at this point because if you aren't subscribed to her, what are you doing? So I'm really excited to be doing this video with her, and she's also posting every day for 5 days. I think this is gonna be her 3rd day. So you should go check out her other videos because they are collabs with other amazing people that I also love. So before I get into the actual video, I'm going to tell you what's on my lips and what's on my eyes because I've consistently been getting comments about that and sometimes I forget. So on my lips is Charlotte Tilbury Hot Lips 2 in Glowing Gen. It looks a little bit weird as well as the rest of my makeup because the sun was set by the time I was doing my makeup and I had no good lighting. So I am wearing this. It's like a rosy color and I really like this lipstick. And on my eyes, I'm wearing the Victoria Beckham Beauty Lid Luster in the shade Honey. I got this for Christmas and I'm really enjoying it. So those are what I'm wearing. But anyways, today I'm doing a video all about the makeup that came out this year that I'm glad I didn't purchase. So the first thing is the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette, which I don't know if I actually really wanted this, but there was a time when I was like, okay, I'm putting this in my Sephora cart and when there's a sale, I want to get this. And I do still think it's a pretty palette and I enjoy seeing pictures of it. And I think I just wanted it just because it was pretty and it was new. And that's the thing I realized is that I need to not want to buy things just because it's new, because a lot of these products, if they weren't new, I probably wouldn't want it, which is the difference. Like if this palette had already been out, I probably wouldn't have even thought twice about getting it. Like I wouldn't even want it. But because things are new, because people are talking about it, because a ton of people are posting about it, it makes the hype really big and it made me really want this palette. But in reality, like, that's not my color story. It's super red toned and it's also super deep, which I would still get use out of those colors, but it's like, that's not my perfect palette. I have 12 eyeshadow palettes if you've seen my inventory video, and if it's not going to add value to my collection and if it's not going to be a palette that I absolutely love, I don't need to be bringing it into my collection. So I'm really glad I skipped on that, although I do really like looking at the different textures. Okay, the next thing that I put is the Vera Beauty liquid blushes, and I'm not gonna lie, when the line first came out, that was something that I was like, oh, well, duh. Like, I love cream blushes. Why wouldn't I get that? Like, if you've been on my channel, I'm a blush addict. I love everything cream. There's my cat. I love everything cream, and just the line was right up my alley. I loved the shades and I really wanted one. I was almost gonna get the shade Bliss, especially when they came out in the mini set. I really wanted it, but then I don't know. The hype kind of died down very quickly for Rare Beauty. I feel like it was all everyone was talking about for like a week. And then by the time I even got the products that I picked up, no one was talking about it. And I'm still glad I picked up the Rare Beauty products I did, but I'm really glad I didn't pick up that blush just because my blush collection, especially my creams, is already so saturated that adding another wouldn't add value to my collection, if that makes sense. So like if I added another cream blush, it would just be another cream blush in my collection that I don't need. And also it just seems too pigmented for me. I'm not a fan of liquid blushes. I'm more of a fan of like things that come in a compact so that I can put my brush in and then it's already starting to blend out, versus a very pigmented liquid I would have to dot on and then smear it out. And I don't know, like I think I would enjoy it, especially the shade Bliss, but it's something I'm glad I didn't buy just because realistically it's something that I probably would have regretted getting. Next is the M Cosmetics Faded Clementine palette, and okay, this wasn't something that I was actually going to buy, but the hype of this palette, because I knew this palette was coming out for a while, I was like, oh duh, I'm gonna buy that palette because I have Divine Skies and this is my favorite eyeshadow palette. So I was like, well, Editing Color Story she comes out with. I love the formula. I love how curated the color story is. So like, oh my gosh, I just dug my nail in it. But I was like, well, duh, like I'm gonna want it and it's gonna be amazing. And it came out and I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty disappointed, and not because I think the product was bad, just because it doesn't work for me. I think it works great for deeper skin tones, but I was just expecting something a little bit different. And I still think it's beautiful, but I know that so my reasoning for getting it was like, well, it'd be fun to play around with, and I know I could use those tones. But the thing is, I could use any tone of eyeshadow that I want, but is it really something that I am gonna fall in love with? Probably not. It's probably gonna be one of those palettes that are in my collection, and I'm probably going to either force myself to use it, or I'm not gonna use it as much as I do my other palettes. So like when I use the Magic Hour Divine Skies, like I don't feel forced to use this. In fact, I love it every time I use it, and it comes naturally to me versus a palette like the Faded Clementine, which is very pigmented, it's very colorful. It would almost be like, okay, let's make myself a little bit uncomfortable and try and think of a look for this. It's not going to be something that I'm naturally drawn to, so I am glad I skipped it, although I can appreciate it because it is good for deeper skin tones, but I'm very glad I didn't buy it because I know I wouldn't get use out of it. Okay, I don't know if this product came out in 2020, but I put down the Glossier Sky Wash, and like, I don't know when it came out. It came out recently-ish, but oh my gosh, in the beginning of quarantine, or just like in the middle of quarantine, I wanted the peachy shade so badly. Like I was going to buy it. I looked up so many reviews and I was just trying to convince myself that the reviews were just because they had different expectations or they just weren't using it right or just whatever. I was just like convincing myself that if I got it, I would love it, when I sat back and I was like, well, first of all, the reviews are okay. Some people do like it, but nobody is like head over heels in love with it. And there are people who genuinely dislike it. And the thing is, if I got it, I'm sure I would enjoy it, but would I be consistently reaching for it naturally? No, because I found that with colors like that are, first of all, matte colors and just neutral matte colors especially, I don't want that in a liquid shadow. I want that in my palettes, that I can just reach for the palette if I want to use the one shade and quickly swipe it over my lid for a one swipe, like one shade eyeshadow look. I don't want a liquid that I have to apply and then blend out and then fuss with, because while it looks natural and the idea of it seems like it'd be very quick and easy, really the quick and easy thing is just taking a brown eyeshadow or taking your bronzer or taking your blush and just putting that on your eyelids for the same effect. And it's not that I don't like singles, because I love singles. Like I have the Victoria Beckham one that I used today, but this is one that is sparkly, it has color to it, and it's very quick to apply. I just stick my finger in and I swipe it on my lid and I get some sparkly goodness. Versus a matte shadow, it's just so boring to have in a liquid or even like a potted form. Like I had a Nude Sticks pencil that was the same exact shade and I did love it. I loved the color and I loved how it looked, but I've already decluttered it because I just don't like the reality of having a matte single eyeshadow like that. Okay, this one hurts a little bit, but the Pat McGrath Holiday palette, the very big one, I am glad I didn't pick up. And if I got that palette, I would still be so incredibly excited, and I know I would use it a ton, because if you are new to my channel, I love pinks and purples. Pinks and purples are where I live. I love light purples, I love pinks, I love anything in the springtime. We always have this joke. I'm in a group chat with Tara and Kyla, and like I'm spring, Kyla is summer, and Tara is fall. Like those are our makeup aesthetics, those are our personalities too, and like everything spring makeup is me. And that was nowhere related to this palette, but I love the colors in it. But to be honest, when I look at it as a whole, it's not that exciting to me, and I know that the shades are pretty, but I feel like it's not a palette that I would find worth picking up for like what, $80 it is. Because personally it's like, well, yes, the shades are pretty, but realistically there are only a few in that palette that I'm really drawn to, so I'm not gonna buy it. And I can probably find single shadow dupes from like indie brands, and I don't know, it's just one of those palettes that if I would have gotten it for Christmas, I would have been so excited and I would get a ton of use out of. but I would not get my money's worth because I know if I were to pick through every single shade and say, if I had to pay individually for every single shade, which ones would I pick? I would not pick that many. So I am really glad I didn't pick that up. Another holiday palette is the Dior Rose Gold highlighter palette, and not gonna lie, it's another one of those where if I had it in my collection, I'm sure I would enjoy it and I would really be happy to have it. But I think the reason people love this so much is because they're letting the hype get to them. And I'm not saying it's a bad product, but is it really worth $40 for a highlighter in plastic see-through packaging? Like, I don't know, like I feel like some YouTubers or some Instagrammers, they like the product, yeah, but they just kind of hype it up because it's like, oh my gosh, it's Dior and it's the beautiful palette and I love it so much. But when you really take a step back and look at it, like, it's $40 for a highlighter. And I know that there's 4 shades, but with this rose gold palette in particular, I have not seen a single person use each individual shade. Everyone that talks about this palette says they swirl it all together. And for me, if I'm going to buy a face palette, I don't want something that I can just use like one thing. You know what I mean? Like, I know you can use each shade individually, but if at the end of the day you just swirl it all together and use it, I don't want that. Like, I don't want a highlighter palette where it's all highlighters unless each highlighter is very different and I can use them all separately to give me different looks. Versus that Dior Rose Gold palette, I feel like they're slightly different, but you're just going to end up getting the same exact look because they're all pinky. And so it's just not worth it to me. I also heard it's pretty glittery, the packaging is cheap, and it's just, I don't know. I just think they're overhyped, and I do still want a Dior highlighting palette, but I don't see myself spending my own money on it because I feel like, I don't know, I just don't see myself buying it. And if I do, I really want to be able to swatch it myself to see if it's glittery, and also I want one with different shades that can give me different looks. So I am glad I didn't get the rose gold one, although it is very beautiful. Another M Cosmetics product is actually one that came out earlier, I believe in the summer, and it's one of their serum blushes, particularly the shade Cherry Splash. Now, I do have 2 of the M Cosmetics serum blushes. I have Rose Milk and Little Lilac, and I do really enjoy these blushes, but they aren't my everyday blush favorites just because they're very dewy, and it's another product that I can't just easily swipe on. These aren't shades where I want a ton of because I know this isn't a formula I reach for every day. And Cherry Splash is one that I really wanted because it's a very unique color to me, and I still would be fine having a color like that. But personally, I don't want this formula in a red blush because it's just very dewy. Like, I would rather get the new Glossier one that sets down a little bit. It's a lot easier to apply and it's just foolproof. Versus these M Cosmetics serum blushes, I realized that yes, I would repurchase or buy more shades of these, but very particular shades. I want a shade that is first of all very pigmented, because Rose Milk I don't like because it's not pigmented, and also is just unique to my collection, but it's also something that I can wear very easily because it is a formula that is so dewy that I do like it. But in a bright red, I don't think I would like the look of it because bright red is not natural on my skin, and being not that dewy isn't natural on my skin. Versus like something that's more neutral, or like this isn't neutral, but it is a fun color. Just something more neutral like Venetian Rose, that looks at home on my skin as far as the tone goes. And so the dewiness and the color don't contradict each other. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't want an out there color in a dewy formula. If I'm gonna get an out there color, I want it in a formula that I feel very comfortable with. And this formula I think is very fun for colors that I know I love. Okay, and then last thing that I have on here is the Rowan 1111 palette. And this kind of hurts to say because I still want this palette. I think, again, I'm super into pinks and it's a pink eyeshadow palette, but realistically, I have the 75 degree warm, and it's not that anything's wrong with it. I do prefer the 1111 color story, but even then, I don't really reach for my 75 degree warm because I don't really know why. Maybe I should put it with my single eyeshadows, but it's just, I prefer like the Victoria Beckham Beauty. I prefer this formula for like a single glittery shadow instead of the Rowan one, because the Rowan one is beautiful. I just, for some reason, always reach for these potted ones more. Maybe because ease of use, just it wears better throughout the day. And I still think the formula is very unique, and there are people who are going to love it. And I do like my Rowan palette. It's just, I don't need 2 of them because I don't even use my 75 degree one. I don't remember the last time I've used it, and I do like it. When I use it, I enjoy it. It's just not something I'm drawn to. So telling myself, well, I like that color story, and then buying it, it doesn't matter how much I like the color story. It doesn't matter how good the product is. If I'm not going to use it, there's no point in buying it. And that's just something that I've learned is I don't need to buy stuff just because it looks pretty or just because I know the quality is good. Same thing with keeping makeup. I don't need to keep makeup just because I know it looks nice and I know the quality is good. It doesn't mean I need to have it. Like, for buying me makeup, yes, that's true, and all those things are true, but my collection doesn't need every single beautiful thing in the world, or else it would be so saturated. I need things that I get really excited about and that I think add value to my collection, and just things that I know I will be drawn to and actually use, because I don't want a makeup collection full of pretty things that work very well, but I never reach for them. So that's a little bit of a rant, but I've just learned a lot through buying in 2020, and my buying habits have definitely changed and will be changing in 2021. I am doing a low buy in 2021, and I'm going to be doing a video about that at the beginning of the year, and then some videos throughout the year about my low buy. So if you're interested, be sure to subscribe. But my list is kind of short, but again, I did buy a lot of makeup this year, but those are the things that I'm glad I didn't buy. If you see this in my makeup collection in the future, don't say anything about this video because just don't worry about it. But I'm really excited to see what things Tara picked because I feel like she's a lot more picky with makeup in a good way, and I really need to start being like her. So I'm excited to see what she picked. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I hope you guys had a happy holidays and a happy new year. Bye!